Welcome home, daddies. Welcome home, daddies. Welcome home, daddies.
Draft Daddies, we are through week 1, and I'll tell you what, I need nope, it's not beer, it's a fresh LaCroix, and this podcast today is brought to you by LaCroix, and if you're not drinking it, if it's too spicy for you, then you're not a real daddy, you're a little boy. If you haven't picked up, we're calling these, if you are lacking daddy status, you are indeed a little boy. You're a son. You're not even a son. You're just a little boy. Speaking of little boys, we have no commissioner with us today, but we're just now deeming him and giving him his new title because he honestly has helped out a lot. He or she, they have helped out a lot in the draft daddy world, as everybody has put in effort. But between the creation of Drafty, are some other Mert Draftees buddies this year, and just being able to chip in when the commish falls short and decides to take a trip out to Vegas or wherever he is. I think he's scouting people. Anyway, we've given him an official title. This is Peyton Bennett, and he is the ass to the ass of the Draft Daddy Fantasy Football League.
I prefer Peyton. Ass to ass.
Yeah, that is what he prefers. That will be on his name plaque, but officially in the record books, he will be the ass to the ass. Oh, what you got there? You got yourself a little spicy water as well?
Yeah, it's I'm upper middle class and bougie now, so I'm drinking Trader Joe's sparkling water. So
is that more bougie than LaCroix?
I don't know. I feel like we should throw that out as a poll to the people.
Well, if we're gonna say the most high class, wow, this is taking a huge tangent of sparkling waters. I mean, if you want to talk about your Perrier, your you know, your Pellegrine nose, we got your cards. You know, I mean, what do you guys think? What is your preferred? What is the highest class of sparkling water? Throw it in the comments below. I want to see 12 comments. Okay,
smash that subscribe button.
Smash and like that subscribe button, daddies. You know the drill. I mean, we're back at it. You're telling us you think the podcast is going okay this year. We're going to streamline some things. We've got our flow down a little bit, so you know what we're starting out with, right?
I do. Everybody knows.
What is it? It's a little bit disgusting, but it's our Malort moment and our perfect pour. And for me, what left a bad taste in my mouth was, I'm going to state the obvious here. I hate to take the low ball and not to go first, but dude, the two key injuries this week being, for myself, what hurt more. I wish that the empathy, it makes me feel a little sociopathic, but I just don't feel that bad for Aaron Rodgers. If anything, I am actually kind of on Zach Wilson's side of the situation, just because if somebody came in who was just a better population health manager than me and just took my job, but I was still getting I just didn't get to do my job. Well, I was taking away opportunity, you know, all those things. I kind of get it. I don't have any empathy. And I'll tell you what, that injury, his Achilles, his torn Achilles fucking owned him. He fucking got owned by his Achilles. Okay. So but it still stinks because, you know, you do hate to see injuries. And so that one, and then personally for me, the J.K. Dobbins, he's out for the season. I was feeling really good. He got an early touchdown on Sunday and was looking really good. Lamar wasn't rushing too much. So that one stung a little bit. Care less about the Ravens themselves, but the two, the Achilles, weak Achilles, right?
Gotta strengthen those Achilles, boys. Start lifting with your Achilles. I agree with you. Those both suck. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, great long career, right? He's one of those guys. I know the Bears fans in the room probably disagree, but football's more fun with him in it. You know, it's just a great player, Hall of Famer. And I know that's my question that I've had to multiple people I've talked to today is like, does he come back from this or does he retire? He's going to be 40 years old next season. He's going to have surgery and totally rehab his leg. Does he have the desire to come back? I think that'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah.
And J.K. Dobbins, man, yeah, that broke my heart. He's only 24 years old. He's
too
so
young for that,
still,
man.
And he's already
Dobbins,
had.
He's an OSU alum, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite OSU jersey is a Dobbins jersey. Yeah, no, he's yeah, it's sad because I feel like he is going to be. I don't know how many teams are going to take the risk on him anymore because now he's had 2 season-ending injuries in back-to-back seasons.
But no, it's kind of the name of the game. You have kind of seen it across. Once a running back has a serious, even one season-ending injury or along those lines, it gets really difficult for them to be signed by a team because teams can't take risks on it. It's happened to, Saquon. They talked about it with JT. I know that's some of the argument. Tariq Cohen, the Bears, pre-Demont. Well, Demont was kind of there, but he was supposed to be fantastic. Like it's all across the league. So you hate to see it, and you hope that this isn't career ending, not just season ending.
Yeah. Mama, don't let your sons grow up to be running backs. That's the lesson.
Or just play football. I mean, if you want to talk CTE, but no, let them play football because we need it. We need it for this kind of stuff. Peyton, what was your Malort moment this week?
Man, there's quite a few you could choose from, right? I think across the league, it was actually, I love football being back, but it was a really lackluster week 1, right? Like I think offenses across the league kind of underperformed from what we expect them to see. Obviously, Joe Burrow played like absolute dog shit. So that definitely was up there. But the homer in me is not going to ridicule the Bengals too much. The national media already had their fun with that. But I will say Monday or Sunday Night Football, one of the most disappointing Sunday Night Football games I've seen in recent memory. The Giants were just anemic on offense. I saw this stat. Okay, so no team has ever lost 40-0 or worse, lost the sack battle 7-0 or worse, lost the turnover battle 3-0 or worse, had a blocked field goal returned for a touchdown, or threw a pick 6 in the same season. And the Giants did that all in one single game. So it's like, I don't know, like what was going on with the Giants. I don't know if this is a trend we're going to see with them, if they're going to be awful all season. I actually thought that they were going to kind of reload and have a stronger season this year than they did last year. I think Brian Daboll is a great coach, so we'll see. But yeah, that was one of the worst professional football performances I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. So full transparency, I intentionally, because I knew because of the Bears' performance, and me writing on Justin Fields a little bit, I knew that I needed a big performance from Saquon. So I intentionally didn't really watch this game very closely. Also, we were doing some stuff around the house with Bree, so I had it on, and it was just periodically peeking in to look at the score. And every time I felt just like what's happening, because Dallas is not that shut down. But I guess we'll see. That was yes, I kind of agree with you. Like across the league, this was not a very exciting week. A few things like that popped up that we'll talk about here in a second, but overall, it was a pretty lackluster week 1. Kind of felt like not preseason in the means that everybody was. I mean, they say that about the first 2 to 3 weeks, right? Like in recent years, the league has shifted to like the first few games are more like tuning up. What you really should be using preseason for, but everybody's so scared of injuries that they just don't even play anybody. So begs the question of like, should you even have a preseason then? But nonetheless, getting it down to your full roster. Peyton, you had some good stuff that had to happen too, right? Whether it's inside the league, and we're opening up the perfect poor Malort moment to anything in life. So if you've got a nice haircut, the beard's looking good. So what was your you have a perfect pour in the last week?
Perfect pour in the last week. Yeah, I think from a football perspective, I will say seeing Brock Purdy have like an absolutely amazing game against the Steelers. Number 1, FTS. Everyone hates the Steelers. Number 2, like I am unashamedly a Brock Purdy fanboy. I think he's just one of those guys that we are going to have like coaches for the next like 100 years are going to use him in the same example that they use, like Michael Jordan didn't make his varsity team, his varsity basketball team. They're going to say the same kind of stuff about Brock Purdy. Like, did you know that Brock Purdy, one of the greatest to play the game, he was the last one drafted in the NFL draft. So yeah, I think it's cool to see that he is actually like legit.
Well, buddy, to stick around the same general position that you are, I'm going to go with, and this bleeds over into our new section that we'll go over next, but I'm going to go with a classic who a few years ago we were ripping on him. Last year he had some shining moments, but Baker Mayfield, I think he's found himself a starting position. I think he's proven his way into being a someone deserving of a starting position, not just having to fall into it. I think that I hope he finds a home in Tampa Bay, but it did my heart well. He's easy to like, kind of like Brock Purdy. He's easy to like, especially now that he's not with the Browns. Like, you get that Browns jersey off of, and I'm like, oh no, you're an adorable little guy. I want to like you. No, and he showed a lot of promise, and they played very well for a team that just literally said goodbye to the greatest football player of all time, the greatest QB of all time. And as much as I hate to say that, you can't deny the stats of it. So
yeah,
go Baker. I hope that he has a good season, except for next week when the Bears play them. But yeah.
I am a big Baker fan as well, especially since he left Cleveland. It's hard not to root for him. He's just such a he's just this nice guy. It seems like outside of the field, and on the field, he's such a competitor.
So, with Baker too, like being off the Browns, it almost makes him more likable, given that he was followed by Deshaun Watson, like arguably the most hateable person in the NFL right now, at least in this league. And it's not just because he's a Cleveland Brown, but that leads us. For at least week one. We'll see if there are enough of these to keep going, but we're gonna do a quick segment that we're gonna call our successful shockers and our flippiest floppers. This is from week one, whether this is football specific, whether it's player, whatever it happens to be. Successful shocker, something that you was not expected to be good and came kind of out of nowhere and popped off. And your flippiest floppers are, well, I think there were a lot of those this week. I'll kick us off with my successful shocker, which is the homegrown boy himself here he's not homegrown, but he's living here now, Anthony Richardson. I think he's got himself to be a fringe QB, like he will be in the streaming. Now I know the PP show has him and he's starting, but I think that he proved me wrong. He proved a lot of us wrong, I think, for week one.
Yeah.
Given their opponent, like the way that they played, the Colts held up way better than I think anybody expected them to. I thought that this was going to be a write-off team for the entire year, and they played very well given the context. And I think Anthony Richardson, he's my most successful shocker. I hope that he does well, and I hope that he can stay healthy and have a long career, because this is truly could be and is the next era of a city that is really proud of their QBs and should be.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he looked great. I was really impressed watching him play. It just looked like for all the reports that it's like, hey, he's a project QB, he's going to have to really take some time to get up to speed in the league. He was making some really solid throws, especially in the first half. He looked really, really good. I think not to drag Justin Fields. I personally love Justin Fields and really hope that he takes that leap this year. It is interesting, though, seeing two quarterbacks with very similar games, and Anthony Richardson one game into the league, and this is probably a big overreaction, but already performing better than Justin Fields.
Well, no, before you go any further into that, let's get into that, because that is indeed my flippiest flopper, is the Bears. I would say the Bears, and I'm not saying this is a hometown team. There were a lot of teams this week that underperformed, but I don't think that there was any team who we're going into our rivalry, the greatest and oldest rivalry in the NFL. Really, really difficult to go in when you don't have to deal with Aaron Rodgers anymore. You're in the Jordan Love era. We are the hyped up ones. We are arguably maybe not the overdogs, but it was even money for sure. But Justin Fields threw for 37 passes with three completions that traveled over 10 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And he was trying to target DJ Moore, who was his new weapon, but he ended up he fell back to a lot of the old targets. There were some glimmers of hope. We had our moments where the whole first half and a little into the third, we were doing fine and they looked good. But then you have the interception, then you have the Fields fumble, along with then they get a little steam, go and score, and then the defense, which was god awful last year. Weird being a Bears fan and watching a bad defense. We built ourselves around defense since like the 80s or longer than that probably, but it was difficult to watch, especially against Green Bay. It wouldn't have hurt so much if it wasn't against Green Bay. I don't think this is a predecessor of what the rest of the season will be. At least for God's sake, I hope not, because I picked up Justin in 2 leagues and I don't want to have to move to a streaming position.
Yeah, I think it's tough. The Bears, it's a tough franchise right now to cheer for. So my heart goes out to my fellow Bear fans. I feel like I've adopted them as my NFC team. Thanks to Fat Dan's. So it's tough. It's it's especially tough when you think that it's going to be a big leap this year. All eyes were on Bears Packers this week, and it's tough that it was a kind of, it seems like the trends that we've seen for the last several seasons are going to continue.
Yeah, well, and I will say, here's the glimmer of hope, is that when he was throwing, like the completions were good completions. There weren't many of them. It was a lot of the same. It almost felt like taking a step back to early Mitch Trubisky of like screen pass and run, and it wasn't working.
In defense of Justin Fields, not that he needs my defense in our stupid little podcast in our little 14-man league.
Yeah, he does listen to it.
Yeah, he does. He's a big fan, I hear. He's not getting the same grace that a lot of other QBs are getting this Tuesday. Like Joe Burrow, obviously everyone's like, oh, it's a fluke performance. He'll be better. Josh Allen, similar things. Like, I just feel like across the league, there's grace for other QBs, and it's because we've seen glimmers of greatness from them or consistent greatness. I will say, though, this is the year that Justin Fields was expected to take the leap. So if it's a slow start, that's okay. So I think that's also the other element there, is we can't expect him in probably the biggest game they're going to play this year, the kind of the big showdown against the biggest rival and what you could argue would be their best chance to beat them this season. Yeah. I don't think it's indicative of what he will look like at the end of the season. I hope not.
Yeah, and you can't compare him to like you said, the QBs that have proven themselves. He has started to, but this is his prove it year. And yeah, just a rough way to starting off on the wrong foot for sure. Just being that this is your got to prove him wrong year. This is your prove yourself year. And he goes out and thus far everybody's saying no. We're right so far, but the Bears have put it all into him and they've poured the money into him. So we're going to make it work this year. If not, we better flop flop enough this year to get another number 1 draft pick. So,
yeah.
All right, Peyton, what were your, what'd you have? Successful shocker, Flippy's flopper?
Yeah. So successful shocker. I'll throw 2 quick ones out. So first one, Bijan. I'm not shocked by it because I bought into the Bijan hype early. That's why I drafted him. But I think the way that he was utilized, I was surprised by. I think I don't remember his exact number of receptions, but he was used not just in running, right? But he was also being used as a kind of dual threat, which was really cool. I wish that he had some more red zone offense, which maybe that'll come. But Tyler Algiers obviously played his heart out as well. And I had him on my team last year. So I wish him the best on whoever picked him up. Biggest surprise shocker though.
Well, real quick, I'll throw in. Just because Bijan, I have his stats real quick. He had 14-3 in a full PPR, but he had 10. He carried for 10 for 56 yards. It's fantastic for a split deep and his first, hit in the league. And then but this is where I think the key is in the splits he will be a good catch and go.
Back. Yeah.
Good receiving back. That's a good backfield split for them. I think they have some potential, but he had 6 receptions. So he had about a third of his work was out there, and that was for 21 with a touchdown. So
yeah,
exciting. I'm excited for that for you because it was a question mark last week for me.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
Who was the other one? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, the bigger one, Brandon Ayuk. I had Ayuk last season, and he consistently disappointed. So I was surprised to see him put up almost 30 points in fantasy this week. Just imagine not having him in your lineup, though. Imagine having him on your bench scoring 30 points. That's embarrassing.
I know. I puke. Ayuk. I puke.
Oh.
Yeah. I puke. But no, the thing is, and you pointed this out, he was hard to put in your lineup consistently last year.
He's streaky.
He's so streaky. And I hope that he's not going to be streaky. This is how I feel it's the same with Drake London, same with Tyler Algier, who had 2 touchdowns. Is it a fluke?
Yeah.
I hope that Ayuk wasn't a fluke. Who was your most successful shockers?
Yeah. Flippiest flopper. My flippiest flopper. Oh God. Joe Burrow, obviously worst performance of his career. Arguably one of the worst performances you'll see a professional quarterback play or playing in the NFL put up. I'm also going to throw Josh Allen in there, though. Josh Allen, supposed to be an elite player. It's the trend with the Bengals in the last couple of seasons is really slow starts. So again, it makes you wonder why have a preseason if you're not going to use it, if you're not going to take reps.
Mixon wasn't good, but
across the board it was
your flippiest flop should just be the Bengals as mine is the Bears
in general. Yeah, it was I don't want to Bengals offense. Bengals defense played their hearts out and they looked really, really good.
Fair enough.
But yeah, and I would also throw out the other one that I think is actually a little more concerning than Joe Burrow is Josh Allen, solely because Josh Allen, he was playing well, but then 3 interceptions, a fumble, and 3 interceptions on just really, really bad plays, like throwing into double or triple coverage, just things that you wouldn't expect out of a guy going into his 7th season, who you expect to be an elite quarterback. So one of those things that I know he in the past has tried to work on is improving some of his, hero ball that he plays. So I'm hoping that he kind of uses this as a wake up call, because I love Josh Allen. I think he's one of the greats that's playing right now. But definitely a concerning game to watch him kind of throw it away for their team.
Yeah. I mean, he quite literally, you want to talk about hero moments. He did not show up in that hero moment of OT. It was pretty pathetic. But I'm not concerned about him.
0-5 in overtime.
Something like that.
Yeah. Josh Allen is 0-5 in overtime, I think. So has not won an overtime in his entire career.
Well, let's hope that he, the Jets really needed a win on last night. Jets in general, they needed a redemption for the day.
I think we would have seen quite a few body bags in New York City if there wasn't a W last night to accompany the Aaron Rodgers news. Yeah. That would have been a very dark time. The second darkest 9/11 we've ever seen in New York.
Yeah, second darkest for sure. I think that's an awful segue to get us into week 2. Kamish sent his predictions in, and since he's not here, I think we got to start with him. So let's start with Sir Cox-a-Lot versus the Hawaii Wildfires, arguably a worse joke than the 9/11 ones we just made. Peyton, what are you seeing this week? What do you think is going to happen here in this matchup?
Yeah, I think this week it's really going to come down to wide receiver play for this game. I think across the board, quarterback, running back, flex position, I think that these are 2 really evenly matched teams. So I think the question just is, do you see Jamar perform? Do we have a similar experience to last week with the Bengals? Personally, my personal experience with the Bengals says they're a really slow team to start. I don't think we're going to start to see them at their top capacity until week 3 or week 4. So I think that I'm going to give Sir Cox-a-lot the edge this week.
I like that. I am just going to come right out and say it now. I am too, for a number of reasons. I think that talking about that ramp up phase, I think that you'll see Trevor Lawrence probably come off with another decent week. I'd be really curious. I think, like you just said, when I look at the matchups, I don't see they don't have a lot of depth. Either of these guys. Olave will do just fine, but yeah, the wide receiver it's almost tit for tat when you compare them side by side. So it does come down to running back game here, and I am not impressed, honestly, by a whole lot of either of them. But I am gonna go for sure with Cox-a-lot on this one. I think it's pretty straightforward. Shocking. Let's see if he becomes two winless teams. Let's see if Sir Cox-a-lot can become a draft daddy and not just a little boy. And of course, who do you think the commish picked?
Oh, if he picked anybody other than himself, I will chop off my nuts right now.
That's spot on. That is who he picked, and that is not a shock whatsoever. We've got Nice Diggs, and we've got E-Dog himself, and this is going to be a fun one to look into because E-Dog is going to have to move to a streaming quarterback position here because let me see, I don't think he has anybody in his no, he doesn't have a backup QB. So this will be a giant question mark, and I think could potentially swing back into his favor. But in the meantime, yeah, it looks like his best option would be a Jordan Love or Brock Purdy, maybe a Baker if he's going to put faith in him. You don't want to take Sam Howell. You don't want to take Tannehill. Probably aren't gonna go with anybody outside of that. Really, maybe Goff, but it'll be interesting to see who he picks up. Regardless, I don't think it's going to swing enough in his favor. I think Chris is also still on the struggle bus with a few injuries. Cooper Kupp injury really hurt him. I think he's got just enough. I think Nice Diggs has got enough to swing away with this one.
Yeah, I agree with you, Blake. I think Nice Diggs edges it out this week. I think it'll be a close game. I'm not sure how well Patrick Mahomes is going to put up points again since his targets look to be made of stone, like their hands couldn't catch a single thing. I think if Patrick Mahomes has a good game, though, I think Diggs wins easily.
Kamish is right along with us. He is right along with us, too. He went Nice Diggs. We got PP Show. We got Taylor with Anthony Richardson at the helm, and we got the Sea-Dog hitting him where it hurts. What do you got, Peyton?
Yeah, I think similar to the last game, talking about Patrick Mahomes, I think if Travis Kelce plays next week, I think that I really like PP's chances. Just because Kelce has, such a huge impact on this offense. Otherwise, there's not a lot to be excited about with PP. Anthony Richardson could have a great game against Houston, though. Houston's not a great team. So if Anthony Richardson shows up and Travis Kelce plays, I like PP. But as the roster stands right now, I think Chicago Dogs gets the W.
Yeah. The commissioner's right along with you in that thought. And right now, except for the first matchup, we're all sticking the same. If Kelce is back, I think it will make it a game. If not, I think this is one of the bigger blowouts of the year, maybe across the year, because PP's team is kind of bleeding from internally. It's pretty rough to see. I think Sea-Dog's really only big question mark, obviously the tight end position, but everybody's kind of in that struggle bus. But DJ Moore, and that he will, like we said, if Justin can get it going, I think he's going to be just fine. Jalen's going to have another successful week. I am not worried about that for him. So one call out I will say that to have in his back pocket is Roschon Johnson, the Bears QB2 or RB2, debatably RB1. He was getting a lot of touches and a lot of pulling attention away from Justin. I think the Bears start to utilize him more. I think that's a really big, if he was on waivers, he would be picked up by at least me. So yeah, Sea-Dogs across the board. Hate to say it, that was a pretty easy one, right?
Yeah.
Pick it up, PP. Pick it up. PP's looking a little small right now. Do you want to talk about me?
Yeah. Let's talk about the amphetamines.
Well, I'll start off with saying that the commish picked Keegs. That's it. And I'll keep my comments to myself for a moment. and I'll let you you give yours.
Looking at the lineups right now, it looks like it's really even, and I think if Watson and Judy do come back, that's going to be tough for you, Blake. Then again, if we're saying that everybody's going to regress to the mean, he had an awful week last week, so maybe he has a slightly less awful week this week. But I don't know if Keegs, I don't know. It depends on Josh Allen. I think if Josh Allen throws 3 picks and a fumble, I don't know how well Keegs will perform because so much of their offense runs through Josh Allen. That's why he was drafted. I think Keegs picked him up in his second or third round. I don't remember which.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is a tough one. I think I give the edge to Keegs with Watson and Judy coming back.
Here's where my side argument would be is that with Christian Watson, who is still questionable to come back, might be limited snaps. With Jordan Love, who found a love affliction with Dobbs, with Romeo Dobbs. Mm-hmm. If that stays hot, it could be a situation like Joey B had in his early, I think it was year 1 or 2, whenever he had Jamar. I think that was the second year, right?
Second year, yeah.
Where originally T Higgins was lined up to be RB1, and Jamar found they found a connection, and maybe that happens, and Christian Watson falls by the wayside. Even if so, this is where I kind of get stuck on his team, is that even if you put those two back in the lineup, that means that for his flex, he's going to have to go with either OBJ or Tutu Atwell, which Atwell is where I would go with that, because OBJ is OBJ with Lamar Jackson throwing to him. I think I heard his name said 1 time last week, and even when they did, they acknowledged that they have not said his name at all or heard his name. So that's when I look at that, I see his flex option, who he has open right now. And if Josh Allen and Tony Pollard, if one of the two has to pop off, which is what happened last week, for him to win even with that, in my opinion, the J.K. Dobbins really hurt, but I flexed my DDC championship waiver pickup, even though I think I was number 2 on the waivers. Sir Coxlot was the only one I had to push through, but wanted to just secure it in there and grab Kenny Gainwell. My expectations for my team has gone from I feel very, very content with this, to a lot more mid-tier, a lot like I did last year, fringing my way to get in, but not saying it can't be done. I'm going to go with myself in this week only because of what I was saying about his flex opportunities. I think that the question mark for me is Justin Fields and Saquon. We got 2 for Keegs and 1 for me. Let's go amphetamines.
Up next, we have 2 teams that we thought were going to be absolute dumpster fires this season. Victorville Vengeance and good Lord, that's a hard one to say quickly. Victorville Vengeance and the G Train Rats.
You are both 1-0. Both of them 1-0.
It just goes to show that we can scream at a poster board all we want all night long. It's all one in the field, baby. You can't. Theory only takes you so far. Yeah. So this game, I think. Look, the reality is that Vic actually has some really strong players on his team. The issue, again, is he doesn't have a lot of depth, like we all talked about before. Isaiah Pacheco had a great game last week. Tyreek Hill obviously blew it up last week.
I want to point out, from what I heard, just because this may go into it, Mark Andrews, from what I heard this morning, is slated to come back this week. So
that's what I heard as well.
Big for the tight ends, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I think if I look at Glenn's team, Nick Chubb obviously had a great week last week, and Calvin Ridley had an incredible week last week. I think what we're really going to have to see, though, with Calvin Ridley in particular, was that a fluke, or is Calvin Ridley really that guy? It's hard to say, because he obviously didn't play football for 750 days or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see. I think this is actually, I do think, looking at Vic's top scores against Glenn's, Cleveland, he's got a lot of Cleveland guys that he really leans on. Pittsburgh always plays them really, really hard. So I don't think I can give this one to Glenn. I think I think Mark Andrews coming back, I feel like Victor has the edge.
Interesting. I'm gonna disagree with you on this one as well, mainly because when I when I'm looking through, first off, you got to give some credit to Glenn. After week one, looking just on week one performances, he had a fantastic team. I think he was up there. He might have had number one in points. Here's what I will say about Glenn's team is I think for consistency, for all running backs, for his 1 and 2 running backs, he has maybe the best running back core in the league. Mm-hmm. If one of those two get hurt, he's done. As it stands right now with Nick Chubb and Aaron Jones, if Aaron Jones is healthy, I think Glenn takes this one. I agree it's going to be very close, but we saw Christian Kirk he got 2 targets or something. With the assumption that Aaron Jones is playing, I'm going G-Train, and our commish also is going G-Train. The last one before the matchup of the week is you, and you were originally going to be the matchup of the week, but then I looked at your matchup, and sorry, Matt, you are still, as we say, a little boy. Can't prove yourself yet to be a daddy because we got another matchup of two 0-1 teams. Commish went Crawdaddies on this one. I am also, I'll be straight up. For me, I'm going with you, Crawdaddy. I think that Joe Burrow steps up. I think that this will be a good game, arguably a cupcake-ish game with Baltimore. I don't think that they're going to be super competitive with you guys this year. I'm going with Daddies on this one.
Yeah, I think, I think I agree. Ultimately, I feel like across the board, I just have the edge over a lot of Matt's positions right now. Last week, I would have won if Joe Burrow put up even subpar numbers. He put up just dog shit numbers. I don't think we see Joe Burrow have the best performance of his career next week, but I think that we see him at least put up double digits. I don't think we're going to see a single digit performance from him again. So yeah, I think I like myself for this week.
I think Joey B, I think he steps up a little bit more. You just got to hope that his number one target isn't T. Higgins and he's hitting Jamar up the middle because T. Higgins is going to give away some of those points for you. Hey, Ass to the Ass, do you know what, my alarm just went off. Do you know what time it is?
7:26 p.m.
And?
Dinner time?
And?
Oh! It's the matchup of the week.
It is the matchup of the week. We got the Jacksonville Jacks, and Taylor made the pup list. Like I said, there were a couple games that we could have gone back and forth with, but Taylor made the pup. Both had good showings. So let's walk through position by position, and then we'll give our final analysis. So what do we see? We got Tua and Dak.
Yeah, I do think I give this one to Jack, just because I think Dak, seeing how tight that New York Jets defense was on Monday night, holding the Bills to 13 or 16, whatever the final score was, I don't remember.
16, yeah.
I just think Tua is going to have a better performance against New England than Dak will against the Jets.
Hands down, you couldn't have said it any better. I was about to jump in and say that, like, he's got the Jets this week, and that'll be a real tell. Better than what the Giants gave him last week. So, looking at the running back position, you got this one is easy in my mind, mainly because it feels a little bit like Jack is playing off of. There's a little recency bias in his positioning right now. If he sticks with this, with Tyler Algier and Madison, Madison is going to be in his starting lineup, whether in the flex position or in RB1 or RB2. But if he can get a touchdown, he'll be fine. But if not, he's going to give you 3 to 5 points. And that could very well happen next week against Green Bay. They're going to have to, I think they're going to lean a little bit more, maybe in the Bijan area. And you can't, when you got Joe Mixon, who had a rough week, but again, a little easier game. We got a better day. And then you got C. McCaffrey, who, like, you can't, he's going to put up points. Edge on me for that one is also going over to the pup.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I agree. I think Tyler Algier, if he has another blow-up game, I think Jack wins the whole thing this week. But I don't see that happening. McCaffrey had a pretty definitive game week 1. I think we see that same kind of energy coming into week 2. Mixon, I agree. I think he's going to have a much better game. I don't know if Mixon's ever going to be RB1 material again, but I think as an RB2, I think he outperforms Algier. So yeah, same. I give it to Pup.
All right, let's look at wide receivers. I'll pass it to you, but kind of a swing here, I think.
Yeah, I think it's the exact same story in reverse. You have Stephon and CeeDee Lamb on the Jack side, who, I didn't see Stephon's Final Fantasy numbers, but CeeDee had a great game last week.
Yeah, Stephon's, I think it was, because it was 14-7, but he was getting targeted heavy, and Josh Allen didn't play his best. So, I mean, he's the reason that he won, because Tyler Bass almost got me the W there at the end.
Yeah. No, I think Jack plays it. I think he played it a little similarly to me this year, where I targeted two very consistent wide receivers. And I think Jack did something similar. Yeah, I think if you just look at the comparison, Stephon Diggs matching up against Drake London, easy W to Stephon. CeeDee Lamb matching up against Jordan Addison, again, easy W to CeeDee. So yeah, I think this definitely swings Jack's way.
Arguably, these two, for me, I'm going to look at these two together. You got Debo, kind of cancels out the win that George Kittle could be, and vice versa. You got Dalton Schultz. Like, this is going to be a really close matchup. But for me, to put a bow on it for myself, it comes down to whether McCaffrey or Debo Samuel get, like, who's going to get more looks,
who gets more touches,
who's going to get more touches. So we'll see how that pans out.
I agree, Blake. I think it's going to be really tight. I do think ultimately, though, I have to give the edge to Jack. Just the matchup of Stephon Diggs and CeeDee Lamb, I think ultimately is just going to be, I think, too much for the pup to overpower. But I think it's going to be really close. I think it's going to be within like 2 or 3 points.
It's going to be a really, really tight game. Commissioner went with the pup, and I don't think that's a bad call. I don't think picking either of these two teams. This is why it's the matchup of the week, because this is going to be a really, really tight one, but going to be a fun one. I actually this will be one of the first matchups of the week in a while that I'm going to keep my eyes on a little bit closer, because this is an important one. This could really set the precedent for both these teams. Both guys have been real mid-range the last 2 years, and one of them is going to go 2-0.
It's a big moment.
Peyton, ass to the ass. Hey, ass to ass real quick. Ass to ass to ass.
Ass to ass to ass.
Ass to ass to ass. Tell me, you got anything, any lasting words for anybody? You'll be amazed that I have this condensed down to right around 40 minutes, but we've been on for an hour, probably an hour 15 by the time we wrap up. I absolutely love you, man. What do you got? What do you want to say to the people?
Just want to say, daddies, tonight when you go to bed, I just want you to imagine me tucking you in and giving you a nice kiss on the forehead, maybe another one on the cheek, quick little tickle on the side. Love you all. Love this sport. Love this goddamn country too. USA, right? September 12th, you know what that marks? The day we decided we weren't going to let terrorists fuck around with us. So
yeah, amen.
Amen.
And as you hear our outro song, make sure you salute the flag and watch out for Peyton Bennett giving you a nice little tuck in tonight. Daddies, love you all. Have a wonderful week. Good luck in week 2. Hopefully it'll be more exciting and better. TBD. Love you, daddies.
It's all football, daddies. Enjoy it.
Actually, should we go ahead and do our predictions for the MLB season? Oh, no. All right. Bye, daddies.